Okay. Okay, so we're still in Parak Vav, and Parak Vav is a switch. Till Parak Vav, we spoke about the godly soul, and now in this parak, we're speaking about the other side. And we said that in order to understand the evil that we have to deal with, we first have to define what is holiness. And we said that holiness is not necessarily religious, because a person could be religious for ulterior motives. The definition of holiness is anything, any space, any time frame, or any person or activity that is willing to surrender its personal needs and interests so that it can facilitate what Hashem wants. It's a long definition, but it's very, very powerful. So Yerushalayim, the Beis Hamikdash, are holy. It's Hashem's capital and it's Hashem's home. We could argue if it's being used properly at the moment, the Temple Mount. It's not. But ultimately, the Beis Hamikdash is holy. Yerushalayim is holy because the purpose of Yerushalayim and the purpose of the Beis Hamikdash is one purpose. It's to reveal Hashem in this world. Kaisel Maravi is holy. A Sefer Torah is holy. A Sefer Torah.
Everything to reveal Hashem. It's our job to make everything, but this to reveal Hashem, everything to reveal Hashem.
Okay, so there are some things that when you look at it, you see that the only goal, the only purpose that they're here is in order to reveal godliness. For a bottle of water, God is not apparent. The bottle of water is not holy. You could make it holy if you make a bracha.
You just said Temple Mount is not going to use holy, saying it's still holy.
Oh, so it still has kedusha because
that's why we're not allowed to go there.
Yeah, we're not allowed to go there, because Hashem said, that it's a holy place.
But it's not revealing right now. It's not revealing.
True. But you know what? Even the fact that the Arabs want it so much, why are they so drawn to? I'm saying there's a whole world. Israel is such a tiny little piece of land. Why are they after it? It's obviously because even they realize that there's something holy. That there's holiness
it's
here.
It's inherently holy, even if it's not, even if,
So that
they feel the holiness when they're going there. They must feel it. Because Kadisha you can actually feel, especially a guy who's not used to Kadisha. We're used to it, we don't even feel it. They really feel it. In the story. I'll never have what we have. They see us, they see Kadisha, and it drives them nuts. They don't know how to do it. Either they admire us or they hate us. That's Jews are holy.
Yeah.
But the Yerushalayim is like a Jew, just like a Jew, even if they're, I don't know where, they're always just inherently holy.
Okay, so a Jew is inherently holy. Okay, so it's how we could look at it that way, 100%. And so there's a Jew always has the potential for holiness. We're going to learn that in a minute. But I think that there are a place like Yerushalayim, a place like the place where the Beis Hamikdash is, or where the Beis Hamikdash stood, and we learned in Prajka Tasechas that the Arain is hidden directly underneath, directly underneath the Kodesh HaKodashim. When Hashem instructed Moshe to build not Moshe, when Hashem instructed when David HaMelech and Shlomo HaMelech, when they built the Beis Hamikdash, they actually built a chamber beneath the Kodesh HaKodashim, so there would come a time that the Aron would have to be hidden, and they built tunnels like a maze-like tunnel to be able to get to this place beneath the Aron Kodesh. I'm sorry, beneath the Kodesh HaKodashim, there was actually a place for the Aron. So that spot is a holy spot. If human beings are misusing it, then that's a terrible thing. But the fact is that even if we don't see the Beis Hamikdash and we don't see and the Kodesh HaKodashim is not built right now that we could see it, but beneath that, in that spot, beneath the ground, is the Aron. So it is holy. So there are so what holiness what we mean by holiness is that there are any place, any person, any time that says that you can that testifies to Hashem, that becomes a holy place. So that is a holy place. The fact is that the Goyim took it over, but that place is inherently holy because that place is where Hashem Shechina rested, and you can't. Shechina doesn't move from its place, and the Beis Hamikdash down here, or the place of the Beis Hamikdash down here, is a mirror image of the Beis Hamikdash up there. So there are some things that are holy. A Sefer Torah is holy. Why? Because a Sefer Torah, every person from any religion will knows that this is the Jewish Bible and this is holy, and the only reason why it exists is to publicize the Eibishter. Now, it could be the time of the Holocaust that the Torah scrolls were desecrated in the most horrible ways. They would try to force Jews to urinate on the Torah, and they said, "No, kill me first. I'm not doing it." So were Torahs desecrated, rolled out in the street, burnt? Yes, but a Torah is still holy. A Torah is holy. If people are terrible and do horrible things, then they're gonna have to get punished for it. But the Torah itself, and why did they even say these kind of stuff? Because they realized the holiness of it. Even the Goyim realized the holiness of the Temple Mount. That's why they fight to worship there. It's so holy that even the Goyim recognize it.
Is tefillin considered like that?
Tefillin 100%. Tefillin is holy. The only purpose, you can't use tefillin for any other purpose other than to serve Hashem. It screams Eibishter. There's no other purpose for it. So another example, Hakafis and Simchas Torah. If a person from the media was to walk into a shul and see how we do hakafis, grown men are running around the bima, singing on top of their lungs, it could look funny. And this is the climax. This is the pinnacle of your holiday. This is what you do. But Simchas Torah is not self-serving. I don't need it in my life to run around the bima. It's not about me. If it's not about me and it's about Hashem, that is holy. To fast in Yom Kippur. When we fast in Yom Kippur or go to shul and everyone's sitting there for 26 hours with no deodorant, I'm not doing it for myself. It's only for Hashem. Yom Kippur is holy. So it's anything that's willing to relinquish control and self-interest in favor of what Hashem wants. And we want to live in a place of holiness. We want to be in a tzad hakadusha, on the side of holiness. But what happens is that most of the world, and a lot of times we even us ourselves, we end up off the track, and we end up in an unfamiliar and hostile environment, which is the other side of kedusha. One more example of holy is malachim. Malachim don't have their own agenda. Malach Michael is a malach that its job is to be kind and to share kindness with the world 24/7. Malach Michael can't take a break and say, today I'm in a bad mood. Today I don't want to. No, an angel doesn't have a will of their own. And we mentioned that malachim in davening, Kadesh, 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 because we want to emulate them. We want to speak about malachim, about they have this tremendous bittul. Bittul and holiness go together. Bittul is I'm ready to put myself aside for the Eibishter, and that's what it means to be holy. When it's not about me, not my agenda, I put myself aside, I give up control for Hashem. That's what it means, Michael. That's what it means, bittul and holiness. Now, so you have an angel, Michael, and then you have a child, Michael, a human being. Does a human being have that quality of the angels? No. Why? Because human beings do not naturally surrender anything to anyone, including God. And this is why it's so difficult to go to a doctor, to go to a dentist, because what do you have to do? You're basically, you have to give up that control. You have to give up that control. And maybe there's judgment there. So as human beings, the way we're programmed, the way Hashem made us, we don't naturally want to surrender anything to anyone. And that's why, B'chal, when there are teachers that have authority and principals have authority, and naturally we have to have Kabbalah's all because it's hard and parent keep it of the aim, right? It's hard to accept sometimes that I have to listen to someone else. If it's my parent that I love, if it's a teacher that I love, it's one thing. But if it's a teacher that I don't love, or a teacher that I feel is not being fair, teacher says, do this because I said so. How many kids
Or a parent that you feel also they're not being fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you feel that someone has control or too much control, and you feel that control is unfair, it's very, very difficult to listen. And sometimes we rebel because we don't want anyone to control us. And sometimes the person has to do something, they have no choice, and they're very, very resentful about it. Because if a child feels I have no choice but to listen, but really to give up control is a very, very difficult thing. And when we wake up in the morning, the first thing we think about is I think about myself. Oh, I wish I could have 5 more minutes of sleep. Me. But we try to, but we get up and we say, Maida ani lefanecha. Not about me, it's about Hashem. And that's how we start our day. Okay, so a person could say, listen, my default setting is that no one should control me. I could do whatever I want. Don't tell me what to do. So Hashem is saying, oh, that we have to be on the side of holiness and we have to have bittul. When Hashem doesn't know who he's dealing with, I cannot have bittul. I don't want it, and I don't want to be, stuck in the box. So we have to know that every single Jew does have the potential for holiness and for bittul. And even if it doesn't come into actuality, the fact that you have the potential for it is also something. So in other generations, when Jews were given the choice, it wasn't a choice, either the cross or the sword. We said, we'll take the sword. We're not going to bow down to the cross. So the potential for holiness, the potential for bittul came out. And so we know that we have it. So Hashem knows who he created, and Hashem knows that naturally we don't want to, it's hard for us to put ourselves aside for Hashem, but we do have the potential. We do have the potential to do so. It's a big order, but we have to. So I shared this story on Monday. There was I'll just say very quickly, there was a boy who was the son of Holocaust survivors, and he spent more time in the principal's office than in his classroom because he was not a very good boy. And when he was 12 years old, his father said to him, look, you're attending the Lubavitch Yeshiva, so I think that we should go to the Lubavitch Rebbe for Yechidus, because in the old country, that's what I would do with my children. I would take them to the Rebbe wherever we were. So he comes to school the next day, he tells his friends, I'm going to go to Yechidus with the Lubavitch Rebbe, a private audience with the Lubavitch Rebbe. And his friends told him, you're in big trouble, because the Rebbe is going to ask you questions about learning, and you're not going to know the answers. He didn't know what to do. Oh, I forgot to tell you that in school, he would constantly get assignments. And he told his principal for his misbehavior. And he told the principal, give me any assignment you want, just please don't tell my parents. I don't want them to have agamas nefesh. They suffered enough in their life. And now he says, if I tell my father that I don't know how to learn, he's going to be devastated. So what should I do? I can't tell him. I'll just have to go to the Yechidus and wing it and hope for the best. Comes to the Yechidus, Rabbi speaks to his father for a few minutes, and then he turns to him and he says, can I ask you a question on learning? So he says, okay. The Rebbe asked him a question from the end of the Mishnayos, which is every time he got an assignment, that's what the assignment was, to write that Mishnah 10 times. Why? Because to give him a Mishnah from Brachas, that wasn't the assignment, because that he had to know anyway for school. He needed a punishment. So the punishment was to write this Mishnah 10 times at the end of the Mishnayos, which most people never even get to. And the Rebbe asked him questions on learning specifically about this Mishnah, and he knew the answer. And then the Rebbe asked him weiter, more questions. And what does this Tana say about it? And what does that Tana say about it? And the father is kvelling. Here, his 12-year-old son is talking, is talking and learning with Lubavitcher Rebbe. And after that Yechidus was over, his father was so happy. He came back to school the next day and he was a changed boy. Why? He had the potential to learn. Just no one ever believed in him. He never tasted success. The second he tasted success and the second he saw that the Rebbe believed in him and he could do it, then the potential was able to come into actuality. So we have to know that we have the potential for holiness. Don't say, "Oh, Hashem doesn't know how bad I am, how hard it is for me to relinquish control." We all have that potential. We just have to tap into it. In Pirkei Avos, actually, it says that if one person toils in Torah, not just he's holding a coffee in one hand and his feet up on the recliner. That's not toiling in Torah. But a yid who's toiling in Torah, it says that the Shekhinah rests on him when one individual is toiling in Torah, because he has the potential for holiness and he's actualizing that potential. It also says in the Gemara that if 10 people come together, the Shekhinah rests, even if they're not learning Torah, if they're eating Shabbos dinner or anything that they're doing. The Shekhinah rests. Why? Because when you have 10 potential holiness, then that potential holiness already starts to actualize. And it's a responsibility. So if you're 10 Jews together, you have to behave properly because whether you like it or not, the Shekhinah is already resting. And that's why we need 10 people to daven for a minyan. And that's why when we say, if a person has to say Kaddish, it needs to be with a minyan of 10 people. Even if there are 10 ordinary people, something incredible is accomplished in the presence of 10 men. And you can have a very liberal rabbi, and the person will say, "Can I say Kaddish without a minyan?" And the rabbi could say, "Sure, no problem," because the Kaddish is in Aramaic. It doesn't even say Hashem's, it doesn't, you're not saying Adai, you're not saying Hashem's name. So sure. But if you want to accomplish what Kaddish is supposed to accomplish, that could only happen if there's 10 men. So sure, you could say it, but if you want to accomplish there's something that's accomplished when 10 men are together, even if there are 10 ordinary men that are not toiling in Torah.
Also,
Absolutely,
Hashem rests.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Not that we can be counted for a minyan, but that even if we're learning together, yes. Which is right here.
So now comes $1 million question.
Yes.
What?
Yes, 100%. So now comes $1 million question. If it's so easy to tap into this potential holiness and we all have it, right? Then why is it that we look like the way we look? And even a bigger question, why is it that the world is so messed up? Hashem is the one that gives us life. And life to live is not a choice. Hashem, when we go to sleep at night and we set our alarm clock for 6 a.m. or whatever time it is, we hope to wake up the next morning. But Hashem is the one that gives us our life the next morning. Sometimes a person doesn't wake up. And there are actually some people that try to take their own life and they're not successful at it. They try to take their own life and it doesn't work. It doesn't happen. And then there are some people, you can find people that go to a hospital and for something small, a little infection, they seem so healthy and they don't come out. Then you can have people that go to the hospital and they were in a terrible accident and there was so much trauma and you think there's never any hope for this individual and they come out. So Hashem is the one that gives us our life. And Hashem is the epitome of holiness. And in order to live, you need to be plugged in to the Eid B'Sher, to holiness, to the life force in order to live. So how is it possible for anything that's not holy to exist and to live?
Hashem gives them the credit.
So we're going to learn today how it happens. How is it possible? Hashem is holiness, and we have holiness and potential for holiness. And holiness means being plugged into the source of life. Torah is Torah's Chaim. Torah is life. So if you're plugged in, I understand how you're alive. But if you're not plugged in, and even more so, if you choose to rebel against Hashem, how is it that you have chayis? From where does the chayis come from? Okay. So it says in this chapter that anything or anyone that is unwilling to surrender itself and to submit itself to Hashem, not just people, anything that doesn't exist in order to proclaim godliness in the world, and it appears to be independent, where does it get its highest from? It gets its highest from the other side of holiness, which is Sitra Achra. If you feel like you're a davar nifrad, if you feel like you're separate from Hashem, and you unplug from the mainframe, you cannot receive your life force from the holiness of Hashem. And you have to get backhanded energy. Like Hashem is throwing it behind his back. And there are 5 different lashonos, 5 different terms to use when a person does have a relationship with Hashem and does get their chayis from panim al panim. You could have a relationship with a person face to face, or you could have, I don't even want to look at you. I'm going to throw something behind my back. So anything that's holy and is plugged in gets their chayis face to face from Hashem. And the expressions are, you get your chayis from Pnimiyus HaKadusha, which means the deeper reality of the holiness, Umehusa, from the being, that's the atzmus, and from the essence of B'chvaydo v'atzma, in its full glory. You get the deeper reality of the holiness, its essence and its being in its full glory, when you are connected, when you do have a relationship with Hashem face to face. And if you choose to unplug, if you choose to rebel against Hashem, then you get your chayis from mibchinas achayrayim, you get backhanded energy. So what does that mean? Because we see that the way that the path of the wicked succeed. We see that the most corrupt leaders, it seems like they live forever. And the question is, how is this possible? And the reason why the question is so strong is because if a person is willing to accept a personal loss, but if someone else gains, it's harder for me to accept someone else's gain more than my personal loss. For example, in the olden days, if a person paid a lot of money, they bought a cow. They a butcher. He shechts the cow, and there's a question about the kashrus of the cow. He brings the cow to the rabbi. Let's say it was 500 ruble to purchase this cow. The rabbi says, "I'm so sorry, Rabbi Yid, but this cow is not kosher." He has a loss of 500 rubles. It's a tremendous loss. Of course, he's upset, but he goes home. Then the next day, you have 2 people come to the Rav. They're fighting, they have a dispute over 50 ruble. 50 ruble. And the Rav paskins that this guy is guilty and this guy is innocent, and the money goes to person A, to Reuven. Shimon is furious because he felt that he felt, oh, the other person should gain 50 ruble. Right? So it's a much less amount. But if someone else gained and I lost, that's a problem. If I was just a personal loss, okay, I could swallow that more than I could swallow the fact that someone else gained. So it's harder. Well, it doesn't matter what I have. But if a wicked person lives such a good life, is so rich and has popularity and who knows how many followers on Facebook or whatever, Instagram, whatever it is. Oh, that bothers you. That bothers us more than our own personal situation. Okay, so how is it that, so that's why this question bothers us so much, that the Goyim, that they should be so successful, that they should prosper. That's very, very difficult for us. So to understand this, the example Rabbi Shishler gives, he says his Chabad house and the Chabad house and the school that he would teach was a few minutes away from each other. Either you could drive on the road, or there's a shortcut, you could go through the alley. So many times you'd go through the alley. In the alley, there was a big dumpster from the grocery store. There was a big grocery store. In the back of the grocery store is this big dumpster that's in the alley. And many times you would see poor people going into the dumpster and taking food. What was in there? There were boxes that looked like in perfectly good condition, but it had already expired. And these people are taking whatever they want, whenever they want, and walking off with it. He says, imagine my son is in the car. And he says, Tati, what's going on? Why could these people take whatever they want for free? We have to go into the store and take a shopping wagon and go up and down the aisles and put the stuff in the wagon. Then you have to go to the checkout and check everything out. And he says, if you're a rabbi's kid, then sometimes the credit card doesn't work, and you have to leave the purchases there and come back and take it later. And then you have to load it into the car. These people, they could just take whatever they want for free. That doesn't seem fair, right? But quantity-wise, you might be right. Look, they could take any quantity they want and walk off with it. But quality, there is no quality. It's expired food. And there is no relationship here. In the grocery store, when you buy whatever you buy, the workers, they have to, if you have a question, they have to direct you to where the product is. They have to look you in the eye. They have to be a mensch. They have a way how they have to behave. They have to pack your bags. They have to smile. How can I help you? How are you today? And they can't just like take your stuff and smush it into the bag and throw it. No, they have to act decent to you. That's panim al panim. That's a relationship. Holiness is when there's a relationship. And unholiness is when there is no relationship. I'm just throwing it behind my back. I don't want to look at you. Another example.
Wow. Such a good,
I loved it.
wow, expired goods.
My 8-year-old son was in the car with me when I was listening, and he was smiling from ear to ear because he got it. It was so cute. I was like, even an 8-year-old can learn Tanya. So here's another example. This example, my son even more was got. The 8-year-old kid comes home from school and he says, Mommy, Tati, it's not fair. My classmate goes to the restaurant, best restaurants, has the best vacations, has the best clothing, all the brand name clothing, the newest bike. And look at us. We don't go to any restaurants. You have the same meatballs on spaghetti every Thursday, whatever it is. And we don't have the newest gadgets. It's not fair. And the parent will turn to the child and say, you know what? It's true that they have all this stuff, but it's a very sorry situation that this boy's parents are divorced. And the parents are each trying to outdo the other to buy the child's love. And they're so busy, they don't have time to have a relationship with their child. They're just throwing stuff and money at the problem. Or you could take a couple that's divorced, and the woman is demanding whatever she's demanding, and the ex-husband will say, take all this money, throws her the money behind his back, just take the money and be quiet. Just I don't have to deal with you or look at your face. Mm-hmm. So is the person, is that is that woman provided for? Okay, so she gets the money. But it's without any kind of relationship. It's like, just take this, I don't have to look at you. And all the things are compensating.
Just go ahead. Here's my, I want to see it.
Yes.
And I'm giving it to you, so you shouldn't have to ask me for it.
Because I don't want to deal with you. It's compensating for the relationship. So there's lacking a wholesomeness. There's lacking investment. said the world of holiness is a world of relationship. That's the real deal. It's not, that's the real deal. It's a real relationship, not just when you go on vacation and take pictures for Instagram. Not just take pictures of the fancy restaurant to show the whole world that they have the best relationship when you're at the restaurant, that both the husband and the wife are each on their phones the entire time. But they'll take one picture with the most exquisite steak for Instagram. So that's not real. That's not a relationship. So it could be, so you look at the Goyim, they look at the wicked people that are prospering, and what's Hashem doing? Hashem says, I don't want to have anything to do with you. I don't want to look at you. So therefore, I'm gonna throw money at you. Just get out of my face.
Like communicating by text, like you said. You don't get to ever have a normal face-to-face relationship. It's just texting, which is not a relationship.
Yeah. There was a chassid, his name was Reb Mendel Futterfass, and he was in Siberia for over 10 years for his counter-revolutionary activities. And in Siberia, there were all kinds of people. And the people were very, very depressed. And they turned to him and they said, Mendel, how come you're not depressed? So he said, why should I be depressed? Why are you depressed? A Jew always answers a question with a question. So they go around the room and say, why am I depressed? I used to be this big fancy engineer. I was this great doctor. I was this great politician. And everyone would come to me for advice. And I was this great lecturer, this great speaker. And now I'm in Siberia. I'm a nobody. I'm a nothing. I can't contribute. By the time I get out of here, no one's going to have a look at me again. So Mendel, how are you still upbeat? So he says, nothing changed. Before I came here, I served Hashem and I had a relationship with Hashem. Now, I still serve Hashem and have a relationship with Hashem. Nothing changed. Maybe the weather changed. Maybe the circumstances changed. The place changed. And I'm serving Hashem. I'm serving Hashem the way I can serve him in this jail. Before I was able to serve him in the place that I was able to serve him differently than I'm able to serve him now. I have limitations now. I can't teach Chassidus and do the same actions that I did before I was here, but I am still a servant of Hashem. Hashem wants me to be here for whatever reason. I'm serving Hashem in this circumstance, in this challenge, in this place, and I still have a relationship with Hashem. Nothing changed. So I don't have to be depressed. So that's what it means to live in the holy side, means that I have a relationship with Hashem. Hashem comes first, and like we spoke last time, first I have the bittul, and then I use my individuality to serve Hashem, right? So I'm not putting away my individuality. Okay. So it's not that Hashem doesn't care about what I do, but rather the experience is completely different for someone who has a face-to-face relationship versus someone who Hashem says, get out of my face. And a relationship, you can't buy. All the money in the world, all the toys in the world, all the restaurants, vacations in the world cannot buy a relationship. And we have a relationship when we're living on the holy side. And everyone else, they might have money, they might have fame, they might have power or fleeting power, but they don't have a relationship with Hashem. And a relationship is the most important thing. Okay. So we still have to answer. We answered, but we're going to go into more detail to answer how actually are these wicked people still alive if life comes from Hashem? When they rebel against Hashem. For example, if I want to have a coffee, right? So I do all the right things. I prepare the cup and the coffee and the spoon and the milk and the sugar, and I put the water in the kettle. And then I forgot and then I come back and the water didn't boil. I forgot to turn the kettle on. We're not blaming anyone. We're not discussing if it's just, if it's not just. But if you didn't turn the kettle on, there's no way for the water to boil. If you're not plugged in, how do you live? How does a person get chayes if they're not plugged in? You could say a person is a very good person, and then for 5 minutes they did an Aveira. So maybe there's a generator that gives you chayis until you could plug back in. But that's not the case, especially with people that they're a serial killer. What is a serial killer? He rebels against Hashem. Forget about a serial killer. You don't have to go far, okay? Let's look at Hamas, right? So they are rebelling against Hashem in the most, they're the most far removed possible from Hashem. Hashem created life, and they say, the life that Hashem created, they say is not valuable. We could kill whoever we want and do whatever we want. So they're the most possibly removed from Hashem. And how do they actually exist? So the answer is Hashem created a healthy system. And the healthy system is so healthy that it can afford to have an overflow. Just like in the grocery store. The manager of the grocery store says, we sold 100 boxes of Cheerios in the month of January. So he orders 100 boxes of cereal for the month of February. So it's coming from a place, a good place that he's planning ahead. What happens is, in the month of February, only 75 boxes of Cheerios, let's say, went. So there's okay, Cheerios is not an example because it lasts much more than a month. But take something that the shelf life is a month. So yogurt. Okay. So now there's 25 or even whatever it is. It could be in a day or a week. Now there's 25 extra yogurts that have to go into the dumpster, right? It's a surplus. It came from a healthy place. It came from planning, good planning. But when there's a healthy system, there's going to be garbage. When we make dinner for our children, I don't know about you, but every single night after supper's over, I take the leftovers and I put it into a container and I put it in the fridge. And on Friday, we take all the containers and we throw them out. What was the point? Tomorrow I'm making supper again, right? No one's eating leftovers. But Yiddish Shema, it's hard to throw out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have to wait for it to spoil and then you can throw it out. Yeah. Even the bananas on the counter, right? Every day they get more and more brown. Oh, I'll make it into a banana cake. And then there's no banana cake this week. And you just throw them out, But you have to sit there until what are the fruit flies are come, but it's a healthy thing that Baruch Hashem, we have enough food that there could be extra and it could get thrown out. That's it. And the food that we're throwing out 100 years ago in the shtetl, they would never throw out the food that we're throwing out. But because it's a healthy surplus, the clothing that we get rid of, we're living in a world where there's a lot of extras, and everything's disposable. The disposable plates and the disposable, everything is disposable these days. But it's so when there's a healthy system, sometimes there's surplus, sometimes there's extra. And these goyim, these wicked people, how are they getting their life force? They're getting their life force from the garbage can. They're parasites. They're getting their life force from the extra, from the overflow of the healthy system. Now, how exactly does this happen? So there's okay, so first of all, we know that it's backhanded. It's handed from behind Hashem's back, and then there's kind of like 3 different steps or 3 different parts of 3 different ways to understand how little chayis or how dumbed down the chayis that the wicked people get. Number 1, it says that this chayis comes down through hishtalshelus ha'olamos. There's an evolutionary progression or degression of how this chayis comes down. So sometimes hishtalshelus could be good. You could have hishtalshelus that's healthy, and you could have hishtalshelus going down that's unhealthy. Where do we have a hishtalshelus that is healthy? You have the birth of a baby. right? As time progresses, the baby develops more and more and more. But then you can have an unhealthy hishtalshelus, where you have the chayis of Hashem, which is so great and so holy and so pure, and it comes down from level to level, being dumbed down more and more and more through many, many steps, until these wicked people hop onto it and take it out of the dumpster. It's like you throw the Poland spring water in the garbage in the recycling when it's empty. But then comes a beggar, goes through the recycling can, takes out the Poland spring and says, "Oh, I could get 10 cents for it." And take you for you, it's pure garbage. There's no benefit. You're not wasting your time to take to get 10 cents for your Poland spring bottle. Your time is much more valuable than that. You won't even blink for 10 cents. You're not, you know. But for someone else, for the wicked people, they're getting their chayis from the garbage can. What you threw out, it's irrelevant to you. The water bottle is irrelevant to you. It has no purpose and they're going to the garbage can, and they're getting their chayis. Now,
There's 6 billion people in the world who are not connected, who are not plugged into Hashem. That's like a lot of surplus, no? It's more surplus than actual.
And it has nothing what to do with how you even behave or anything. It has nothing what to do with if it's not connected whatsoever. It is. You know, like let's say, like when these kind of things happen, let's say a lot of people started doing Hadlakasneros, Shabbos, covering their hair, sneas, different things. Because all of a sudden they want to be connected, they weren't like so afraid. And those like spusim maybe are the reasons why, like they're coming back as hostages or hopefully not gonna lose more people. Does it have what to do? Like with the Kedusha, with the
so we said in the
holiness,
beginning,
but they're not, it's two separate things.
no, we said no, because we said in the beginning of the parak, how did this parak begin? Zel umazeh bara lekim. And there's for every force, there's an equal opposite force. But the force of holiness is so great, you can have a pitch black room. One little candle dispels so much darkness. So it seems like this world is 95% evil, you know, but
Evil, just not holy.
not holy.
Even though a guy who's not necessarily evil, but they're not plugged into Hashem, are they?
Are they able to put themselves aside for Hashem? No, they're not, because they don't have a neshama. Only because you have a neshama do you have the ability to have bittul. A guy cannot have true bittul.
So that's what I'm saying. So then it's not a surplus. It's my majority is getting like.
Right, that's what it seems like. But on the other hand, the kedusha is so
powerful.
strong.
Even us few Jews are giving clear to.
Yeah.
Like I always treat me once, this when I learned so many years ago, that's why we cover it side to Torah. Is so that the other side shouldn't feed off of it.
Wow.
Shouldn't feed off of the Kedusha. That's why we cover, make sure to keep our hair very covered. Even in the house, even if nobody's around, because our hair is sanctified.
Wow.
And so nobody should, the other side shouldn't feed off of that.
Wow.
So it's very much connected.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. But a little, you know, like it's not just again, it's not measured in quality. It's measured in it's not measured in quantity. It's measured in quality. If you take one rock versus one diamond, okay, it might weigh the same, but there's no comparison. So it's true. It looks like the amount of space that things are taking. It looks like the evil takes up most of the space, and the holiness takes up very, very little space. But the holiness is so much is so much more powerful and transformative. Yes.
That's exactly what we were only on last means. Exactly what it means is that us when we're not doing whatever, we're getting that energy.
Because what happens is when we come in contact with a bottle of water, we have a choice to either elevate it to holiness. It's neutral until we come into the picture. We have a choice through our actions. That's why we're so powerful. If we make a bracha, we could elevate it to holiness. And if we,
this was the beginning of
we're not done paragraph. We're not done paragraph. I'm going to still show you where we have to go, but we're almost done. But if I take the water and I use it for not a good purpose, to water kilayim, something that's not supposed to grow or not supposed to plant together, whatever it is, then what I'm doing is I'm taking the water and I'm downgrading it to the realm of unholiness. So yeah, we have absolutely, and on the other hand, if it says we have to look at the world as a scale, and one Jew could do one mitzvah and tip the whole scale and bring gula for the whole world. So if evil is so strong, then how much more so is kedusha? That one parak of Tehillim, how much that can accomplish. Okay, so first of all, the chayes that they're getting is 3 points here. Number one, it's going from think of a staircase. Actually, don't think of a staircase, but you would think that it's a staircase that the chayes is going down many. It says rivavais madregais, which means tens of thousands of steps down. But it's not just any steps. When you build a house, you build your steps, they're symmetrical. Every step is the same length and width as the step above and below it. But if you were to go to, if you were to climb the wall of China, there's a wall. That one part of the wall, that's where all the tourists go to. You climb it, and then there's a what's that? A ski lift, that takes you back down. But Rabbi Shishler says that he had an opportunity to walk this wall of China, and it's a very, very difficult hike because the wall is not around the wall. Where did I write this? Oh, the wall doesn't go around the hills, but rather goes over the hills. And each step is completely different than the next step. Some steps you have to spread your feet very, very wide to be able to get to the next step, and some steps are extremely, extremely narrow. So when we're talking about these tens of thousands of levels and steps that the chayis is going down, it's not just regular steps, but some steps are so much. They're not all the steps are equal. They're actually very, very far apart from each other. They're not all symmetrical. Yeah, jump down. Yeah, that's number one. Number two, okay, so for number one is each step is fundamentally different from the preceding step. You're talking about spiritual stuff, so could be fundamentally different. It could be like worlds in between each step. Okay. Then the next concept is okay. Before I get to the next concept, okay, so basically what we're saying is that there's a healthy and unhealthy way of hishtalshlos, of dumbing stuff down. So, for example, if a hishtalshlos, I have something in my head, right? And then when I say it, that is a descent. It's descending, right? Because what's in my brain is an idea, a big idea. And I have to express it to you. I'm going lower so I could speak it, right? So let's say you have a person who, or a child who's speaking, and you tell the child, and not everything that you think that you have to say, right? So, and then the child says, okay, fine. I'm not going to say anything. So now you already went too low. It's unhealthy not to say anything. You took it too far. Of course, I have to watch what I speak. But so when ishtalshus is healthy, then I say what I need to say, and yes, it's lowering from my brain. It is a descent, but it's a healthy descent because if it was just in my head, no one ever know about it. So it is healthy to communicate and to speak. But then if I say, okay, I'm not going to communicate at all, then I went too far. Then it's unhealthy, and that's that's the common denominator between these three concepts is that the shtalshus goes too far down, and when it goes too far down, that is when the wicked people grasp onto it and get chayes from it. The second aspect is something called ila v'olu. Ila v'olu means cause and effect. If a person learns something or puts a lot of time and effort into learning something, then the effect would be that they could be very passionate about it. And that makes sense. You see a person's very passionate, oh, why are they so passionate? Because they did an incredible amount of research on this topic. So it makes sense that they should be passionate about it. Cause and effect. Cause and effect in a healthy way is that I see something and I could trace it back to its source. But then there's ilul va'olul, there's cause and effect that you can't trace it back to its source. It's too far away. You can never trace it back. And this is the second point of the chayis that these wicked people get. They're getting the chayis from the garbage can, but they can't contemplate and realize that why is there extra yogurt in the garbage? Why? It's because the manager was doing good planning to plan the right amount of yogurt that he needed for the store, and then this was extra. He's not even thinking that. He has no idea what he's so into himself that he's not thinking about what is the cause, where did this even come from, or why is it even here? Why is it even accessible? An example for another example for cause and effect is, let's say there's a guy in Canada and he is waiting for a Zoom meeting, and the person who's supposed to give this lecture on Zoom is in South Africa. What happens? The guy in South Africa, he's ready to have his Zoom. He's all ready. And all of a sudden there's a big storm and a tree falls on the box of electricity. And now the whole block doesn't have electricity. No electricity, no Zoom. The guy is sitting in Canada wondering why the Zoom is not starting. And he has no idea that what's the cause? The cause of the fact that there's no Zoom, that he can't have his Zoom class in Canada is because in South Africa there was a storm. So you can't trace it back so easily. So number one, the chayes is coming down tens of thousands of myriads of steps down, till it's in an unhealthy place. And there's this concept of cause and effect that the chayes that they're getting is so dumbed down that you could never even trace it back to God. That's how far it is. And the last concept is that there is tzimtzumim rabin, many filters. Now again, filters could be healthy, filters could be unhealthy. What's a healthy filter? If you have a person who's very smart and he has to give a lecture. So a healthy filter is to say, I can't give all my knowledge. What am I not going to say? That could be a healthy filter. Or if he wants to give a lecture and he has 12 points that he wants to share with the crowd, he realizes that 12 points is too much. I have to pick 4 or 5 concepts to speak about and reiterate those and speak about those again and again in order to drive the point home so that the people should actually walk home with 4 or 5 points. That is healthy filter. But then there's an unhealthy filter. What's an unhealthy filter? What? Okay, so unhealthy filter is if you go too much. If you say, you know what? I'm going to speak for 1 hour about 1 point. And this crowd is all adults that all are smart individuals, but I'm going to speak to them like they're 2-year-old children. So now you took the filter too far. The worse than being spoken to, the worse than if you're at a lecture, worse than someone speaking and you have no idea what they're talking about is when someone speaks to you like you're a moron. Like you can't understand anything. So now the filter is, now it's too much. So
Too much Simpson.
Yes, too many filters. And it's true that you're supposed to speak the language of the people that you're talking to. Like if people are very into clothing or makeup or whatever it is, then you should speak to them in their language. But sometimes if you go too far, you're speaking to the people in their language, but they have no idea. They have no idea that it's they have no idea that it's God talking. And that's what's happening to these terrorists, to these wicked people, that they have the highest is coming down step after step, and the steps are not all the same. Tens of thousands of steps coming down, and there's no connection from the effect that cannot be traced back.
Like you see, did you eat?
Like for example, like broken telephone.
We did. Did you want to eat that? No, I want to get up to the issue. I just want to say.
Okay. Like broken telephone, right? You have the one person says one word, and then 20 people later, you have absolutely no idea. You can't trace it back to the original word, and then you have all these crazy filters that totally drain all the godliness out of it, until the wicked people say, "Oh, look, I have riches, I have power, I have a gun. No one's stopping me. I could do whatever I want." But they don't realize that they say, "Oh, I'm not being held accountable. I can get away with anything," but they don't realize that it's that Hashem, it's Hashem behind it. That Hashem is the one that's talking, and Hashem is the one that where they're drawing this tiny bit of chayis from. And this we're gonna talk about next time. This is the intro for next class. Today in the news, you see a hostage being released, right? And what do you see? Mobs of people and all the terrorists with their guns drawn. And you see this girl, she looks petrified. Because look, anyone in the mob could have killed her. And Netanyahu said that. He said, I'm holding back letting the prisoners, the Palestinian prisoners out, because this is not safe passage. But what do you see? You see what it means, Galus Hashchina. What is Galus Hashchina? When holiness is in prison, is taken hostage. When we say the Shechina is with us in Galus, what does that mean? It means that the Shechina is taken captive, is in prison, and it cannot do what it wants. It can't say what it wants. It can't do what it wants. That's what it means that the Galus, that the Shechina is in Galus. Galus, we say, is exile. But exile, what's exile? Exile is prison. And the fact that we see today that a hostage is being released from hell, right? And everything's a mirror. Whatever's down here is a mirror reflection of what's going on up there. So what's happening up there is that the Shechina is being redeemed. That that's how we have to look at the news. That's how you have to look at the news. That the fact that terrorists could live on this earth at this very moment is only because the holiness is in prison. It shouldn't be that these animals should be walking the face of this earth. And it's because it's because there has to be a balance for the holiness. But now we're coming to a point of Mashiach, of Geula, when Hashem is when all the tumah and all the evil is going to be eradicated from this earth. And now is the time. And we're already seeing it starting to happen. That what's going on? That the Shechina, the holiness, is being released from captivity. And that's Mashiach. That's the ultimate Mashiach is when the Shechina will be redeemed from Galus, we will not be taken imprisoned and hostage anymore, and the Shechina and the holiness will be able to operate like holiness is supposed to operate, not in a dumbed down way with steps and broken telephones and filters.
I mean, there's no room for Goyim after evil.
There's no room for evil, and then everyone is going to have bittul, 100%. Whoever exists once Mashiach comes, it has a 100% complete bittul to Hashem. Bittul is holiness. Mashiach means that holiness can operate the way holiness is supposed to operate, not with a gazillion filters, not dumbed down to watered down and to nothing.
Does that mean our nefesh Bahamis is going to cease to exist also then?
Our nefesh habamis, what's coming to nefesh habamis at that time? Our nefesh habamis gets its chayis from sitra achra. At that time, nothing is going to get its chayis from sitra achra. There will not be another side. It's only going to be holiness.
So there's not going to be any struggle.
No.
And there's not gonna be, so then what is the purpose and how we bring Hashem? If there's no struggle, then how we
So
bring Hashem?
now is the purpose. Now there's purpose. Once Mashiach comes, there won't be that struggle. I've shared this story many times. I'll share it very quickly and then we'll end. We're done. We're basically done.
Remember, learning that they never said we're gonna yearn for these days.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
There's a story, there's a mashal of I for sure said it here. There's a mashal of a king who goes hunting in the forest and he gets lost. And it's raining and it's freezing, and somehow he finds a little hut. He takes shelter in this hut, and this guy, Moshe, he gives him straw and goat's milk. That's all he had. The next day, the sun comes out, and this Moshe, he shows the king, who didn't look like a king at all, because he was wearing his hunting clothing, and he was so drenched from the rain, he shows him the way back to the city. 3 days later, a royal carriage drives up to his little hut with an invitation for him a summons to come to the king. And he's like, "What's this? I never did anything for the king. How does the king even know that I exist?" He comes to the palace, all the doors open before him. And all of a sudden he's standing in front of the king. And the king says, "Don't you recognize me?" He says, "No, I don't recognize you." He says, "You saved my life. I was in the forest. I was starving. I was freezing. You gave me goat's milk. You gave me a place to rest. You gave me straw. I made a bed. I slept. Because of that, I'm going to build for you the biggest mansion. And I'm going to have all the money and all the clothing and everything they ever need. You'll be my friend and you'll live happily ever after." Wonderful. Moshe walks out of his mansion the next day and he bumps into his friend Yankel. Yankel says, "Ooh, what happened to you? You're wearing a beautiful suit and a tie and shiny shoes, new hat. What happened?" So he said, "I'll tell you. I gave the king goat's milk and straw. And that's why I have all this." So Yankel says, "Oh, I'm going to try it too." Comes knocking by the palace gates. "What do you want?" "I have goat's milk and straw to give to the king." What are they going to do? They're going to throw him out. Why? When there's galus hashchina, when the holiness is trapped in prison, then goat's milk and straw is very valuable to Hashem. Your little mitzvah, your kriyas shema, your negelvaser, you controlling your anger. That's very precious. Once Mashiach comes,
Then what's the purpose?
you have to do a lot more to impress Hashem.
And what is it? I mean, not that it's relevant with granular and gulls, but I'm saying, but then what's the other ready? Then what's the purpose? Or what's our existence for once Mashiach is here?
Once Mashiach's here, then that true relationship, we could actually feel that relationship that Hashem has with us.
But for Hashem, what's the purpose?
Hashem loves us. Hashem loves us. Hashem wants that relationship with us.
But if we don't have a choice, then the relationship is not special, then it's like Malachim. The only reason it's special when we serve him is because we have an impulse to do other things and we put that aside to serve him, and by doing that, we build a relationship with him. If I wake up in the morning and all I want to do right now is open my siddur and connect to Hashem, and there's no distraction, and all I want to do is, so then what's my service of God?
So that's a very good question. But first of all, since it's very, very hard to understand this, I'll give you another mashal, okay? In the olden days, if a family couldn't pay the rent to the pirates, they would take the whole family and they would throw them in the dungeon until somehow someone could redeem them, or they would just, I don't know. It was a terrible, terrible situation, and that's what Pidyon Shvuyim. It was such a big mitzvah to redeem these people that were in the dungeon with their families. Imagine a mother and a father are thrown into the dungeon with their family, and imagine that a baby is born in the dungeon, and every single day there's a basket that's lowered down with bread and water to keep these people alive until someone could come and redeem them. This baby is growing up in the dungeon. And what does he see? He just sees a basket coming down with bread and water every day. That is Gullus. Geula is when this family is freed. Imagine this baby all of a sudden to come out, fresh air, grass, trees, sunshine. So we're in the state of Gullus. We have no idea what it means to have a true relationship with Hashem. Of course, this is the time for the work. And then there's a time of schar, there's a time of redemption, there's a time of geula, there's a time of you see, we don't experience, okay, we daven, we do what we do, but we don't experience the light and the love and we're struggling. We're struggling. We don't see that what we accomplish, what we do, and the light that we don't see the light that we accomplish, that we bring. When Mashiach comes, then it will all become evident.
What's going to be the purpose?
The purpose is the relationship.
Yeah.
Just like,
But if it's
enjoy,
not,
you enjoy spending time with your children, Hashem also wants to spend time
Wow.
with us. He wants to enjoy us. And when do you most enjoy your children? When they're happy, fulfilled, relaxed. You're not busy worrying about them. You don't really get to enjoy your child until your child is at peak happiness. Otherwise, you're just feeling along with them. A mother is only as happy as or unhappy as child. That's what Hashem is experiencing with us. So once it's all gone, once all the evil is done, we all get to really just be and just enjoy each other and have a true, happy relationship.
Yeah. 100%. I remember when my daughter got married, I remember standing under the chuppah and feeling this unbelievable joy. And I was like, I just wish that everyone could experience this unbelievable joy. Because raising kids is not easy. But that moment when you're standing under the chuppah and your child's getting married, that nachas, that joy is incredible. So it comes a point where we achieved what we had to do, where we made this world into Adir B'Tachtainim. What does Hashem want? Hashem wants not just a glimmer of his light in this world. Hashem wants his essence. This world should be a comfortable home for him. Just like in your house, you could do whatever you want. There's no judgment. In the dentist's office is judgment. But in your own house, there's no judgment. You can do whatever you want. Hashem wants.
Created this world, he had that up there, but it was malachim, so it wasn't a choice of service, and that's why he created us. If we're going to become to a state of malachim, then
No, what happens is the tachlis, the purpose of creation is complete when Mashiach comes. That Hashem could rest, his essence could rest here, and the whole world could recognize his oneness and his unity, and that the chayes comes only from Hashem. And that is something that we are working. We are. Hashem gave us life and gave us a purpose to build a home for him on this earth.
for us, I see the reason why we want to go. Of course, we want to be clever, but for Hashem.
But once the home is built, Hashem wants to be with us.
You still have to maintain a home that's
Yeah,
good.
you ran the marathon, right? And you come to the finish line. Once you finished, you finished.
We're never finished. That's why the Goyim are going to encourage us and help us serve Hashem. We're never going to be done serving Hashem.
Not done serving Hashem, but there won't be
That kind of struggle.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a different struggle to do even more and to do even more and to get to know Hashem even more and to make the relationship even stronger. That's always going to be there. There's always going to be something to work towards, but without the evil, without the obstacles, it's just going to be different obstacles. You know, I served Hashem. I did what I had to. Now I want to give him even more. Now I know him. Now I want to give him even more. This is what I learned. I don't know if it's,
And also the fact that the tzaddikim in every generation, all they wanted was Mashiach. They stood in the gas chambers and they were singing Ani Mamin. We might not understand the greatness of Mashiach because we're still in the dungeon. We're still in Gullus. We don't see what
No, I understand
what could
for
be.
us to have clarity, we'll be able to figure Hashem that struggle, I understand on our point, but for Hashem, why would he want that?
Because he wants us to be happy.
Shechina's trying.
Right, the Shekhinah's trap.
He's no place to be.
Wow.
Right? Isn't
Yeah,
that-
100%.
isn't that what
I
you
love what,
said?
yeah, that's amazing that you brought that
It's
back in. That's amazing.
like he's not, he has no, Hashem wants to enjoy us too. It's a two-way street.
Yeah, it's a two-way street because a relationship is a two-way street.
Shechina's not,
The Shekhinah's not free.
it's not what I want to do. We don't even know what that
And
means.
Hashem, when Mashiach comes, he's gonna shower us so abundantly. We don't even understand what he has to give us. And we'll just be able to bask in Hashem, like, we can't even begin to tap. Like you said, right now, it's just a basket. We have no clue. And Hashem wants to give us that. He wants to enjoy us. He wants that. He wants a relationship.
Yeah.
That's what he wants.
Like we're in Dallas and the Shechina's in Dallas. It's two different things.
Because we have a piece of Hashem inside of us. So we're in Galus, we're in Galus, and the Chelik Mamish that's in us is in Galus because we're in Galus. In addition to the Shekhinah, there's Hashem resting in the world, there's Hashem resting inside of us, and this is the secret of this is Galus Hashchina. Hashem is with us in Galus. Hashem is with us, and when there'll be, and ultimately when there'll be the final Gula, it's absolutely a big redemption for Hashem Himself. Hashem has what to gain.
We're afraid we will. Like, when we feel it off, I don't think what's better for Hashem.
No.
Keep sending him packages. No,
He's
No,
not gonna get.
I know we're going to get
Right.
that, I'm just wondering what the purpose is.
purpose is that the screen will be known, and will be there, no? I don't know. It's gonna be like, it's gonna be totally.
But wouldn't it be amazing for the terrorists to put down their guns and to realize and to say, yeah, and to realize,
They won't be here anymore, I don't think they're gonna be part of the people that make that.
They'll be licking your toes, and they'll wanna live.
but we want to say there has to be a point. There has to be a point. I'm saying, watching history unfold. There has to be a point. Yes, evil will be eradicated from this earth, but how does that actually happen? It's that there's going to come a point in time that all these terrorists are somehow going to admit that they are wrong, and that and how evil they are, how wrong they are, and how special the Yidden are, and recognize Hashem, not that they're in the name of God that they're murdering people, and that's the biggest uftu. That's the transformation when the terrorists themselves have to release, when the terrorists themselves are releasing the holiness, when they themselves realize how insignificant cockroaches they are and how special we are. For each one of our hostages, how many hundreds of them get free because because they're cockroaches, and they all recognize what a hostage is being freed, and yet the parades, the swarms, the mobs of people for one Jew, the value of one Jew.
The release of the Kedusha. All the Kedusha is going out of Gaza, and now afterwards they can fall. They couldn't fall till now completely because there was Kedusha.
Wow,
Once the Kedusha is
wow.
understood, it's over.
That's an incredible thing that you're saying. They're holding on to the Kedusha. They took the hostages, holding on to Kedusha, and now they're forced to let them go. Until there's no Kedusha, until there's nothing, no highest for them to latch onto, and then they cease to exist.
And the soldiers have to come on. Oh, the holy, holy, holy soldiers. Do they know how holy they are? These soldiers, these young boys, 18, 19, do they have any clue how incredible they are? They don't even have a clue.
They're walking Kedusha. They're walking Kedusha. Where's this concept come from? Taking captives. Where does it come from?
No,
It's the
it's not
same-
seen. It talks about the captives. When Hashem takes revenge, It's in here. It talks about the cactus that were taken on that first day.
Wow.
That's what it talks about. It's incredible. It's all laid out. And it's happening. Like you said, it's happening now. We're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Middle of
But
it.
keep exactly. We have to keep davening and learning and doing mitzvahs. And every mitzvah that we do, we might not see the light, we might not see what we're accomplishing, but we're literally going to tip that scale and bring the geula. This is it, and this is our chance. Give Hashem. All you give him is goat's milk and straw. Do it now. Do it now. This is it. This is the last few instances of galus
I
chaparai.
just heard that, so right, October 7th, like, you know, like the thing, when we go up to this world, there's nothing else we could do, like, once Mashiach comes, we can't do all these mitzvahs anymore, so like, Chaparang, because
Yeah.
he's almost here, you know?
Every minute. Make every minute count. Okay. Thank you so much for being with us online and in class. Okay.